Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of October 9, 2024. I'm your host, Sharifa Muhammad MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. Cumulative losses, significant cumulative destruction of Ukrainian military assets, including aircraft, helicopters, UAVs, tanks, and artillery pieces, highlighting the scale of the conflict.
Welcome to Frontline Updates podcast, where we dive into the latest military developments with insights from those on the ground. I'm your host, and today we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer leading operations on the front lines. Colonel, thank you for joining us for today's update.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share the latest on our operations.
Let's get right into it. Today's briefing covers the progress of the special military operation as of October 9, 2024. Can you give us an overview of the current situation?
The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue to advance in our special military operation. Our focus remains on degrading the combat capabilities of the Ukrainian armed forces across multiple regions, including Kharkiv, Donetsk, and the Kursk region. We've seen progress on all fronts, with numerous enemy losses and strategic territorial gains.
Let's start with the activities in the Kharkiv region. What has been happening there, specifically with the North and West groups of forces?
In the Kharkiv region, our North group has been active in the Liptsov and Vovchansk directions. They inflicted losses on Ukrainian formations, including the 57th Motorized Infantry, 92nd Airborne Assault Brigades, and the 13th National Guard Brigade near settlements like Vovchansk and Maly Prokody. These engagements resulted in approximately 50 Ukrainian casualties. The West Group of Forces has taken up more advantageous positions, securing areas such as Berestovoy, Kupiansk, and Petropavlivka. They successfully repelled 6 counterattacks from the Ukrainian 14th and 66th Mechanized Brigades. In these operations, the enemy suffered over 370 casualties and lost various military assets, including an infantry fighting vehicle, artillery, and field ammunition depots.
It sounds like the counterattacks are a significant part of the engagements. How have your forces been handling these challenges?
Repelling counterattacks is a key part of maintaining our positions. Our forces are well prepared to respond with coordinated artillery fire and tactical maneuvers. For example, in the West Sector, we used our artillery capabilities to disrupt the assault groups before they could reach our lines, significantly reducing their effectiveness and inflicting heavy losses.
Moving on to the Donetsk People's Republic, how have your operations progressed there, particularly with the Southern and Center groups?
Our Southern group has made considerable progress in the Donetsk region, particularly around settlements like Stupachki, Droshkovka, and Konstantinovka. They defeated elements of several Ukrainian brigades, including the 23rd and 93rd Mechanized Brigades, and repelled 3 counterattacks from the 28th Mechanized and 81st Airmobile Brigades. These operations led to 650 enemy casualties, as well as the destruction of vehicles and artillery units. The Center Group is advancing deeper into the enemy's defenses, targeting formations in settlements like Rozovka and Dzerzhinsk. They repelled 9 counterattacks from various Ukrainian brigades, including the 42nd and 53rd Mechanized Brigades. Ukrainian losses in this sector amounted to around 525 personnel, along with significant losses of equipment such as tanks, howitzers, and an AMX-10 armored vehicle.
It's clear that artillery is playing a crucial role. How has your East Group of Forces been contributing to the operation?
The East Group has been effective in securing strategic positions and repelling enemy advances. They recently occupied more advantageous positions around Dobrovoly and Ravnopol, defeating units from the 72nd Mechanized Brigade and the 127th Territorial Defense Brigade. In this area, we repelled counterattacks from the 118th and 123rd Territorial Defense Brigades, leading to over 90 Ukrainian casualties and the destruction of key artillery pieces, including a French-made Caesar howitzer.
Let's talk about the Dnipro Group. What has been their focus, and what have they achieved recently?
The Dnipro Group has been engaging Ukrainian forces in the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions, targeting formations like the 141st Infantry and the 128th Mountain Assault Brigades. Their operations have resulted in the loss of about 65 Ukrainian servicemen, alongside the destruction of key artillery units such as a U.S.-made M777 howitzer. They've also successfully neutralized additional electronic warfare threats by destroying 2 Anklavin stations.
You mentioned earlier that there were strategic strikes against Ukrainian infrastructure. Can you elaborate on what targets were hit?
Our operational tactical aviation, strike drones, missile forces, and artillery targeted Ukrainian energy facilities that were supplying fuel and lubricants to their armed forces. Additionally, we struck concentrations of enemy manpower and equipment across 141 areas, aiming to disrupt their logistics and resupply capabilities. These strikes are intended to weaken the enemy's operational endurance and create more favorable conditions for our advancing ground troops.
And how are the air defense systems holding up in these operations?
Our air defense systems have been performing well. They successfully intercepted a modified S-200 missile, which the Ukrainian forces had repurposed for ground attacks, as well as 68 unmanned aerial vehicles. This has been crucial in maintaining air superiority and protecting our troops from aerial threats.
Let's turn our focus to the Kursk region. What is the current situation there, and how are your forces handling Ukrainian advances?
The Kursk region remains a dynamic front. Recently, our North Group of forces liberated the settlements of Novaya Sorokyna and Pokrovsky, defeating Ukrainian formations, including the 22nd, 41st, and 115th Mechanized Brigades. In the past 24 hours, we repelled 2 Ukrainian attacks, resulting in around 20 enemy casualties. Our operations in the Kursk region also involve strategic use of artillery and airstrikes to damage concentrations of Ukrainian forces and equipment in areas like Lyubimovka and Plakovo. This has helped us maintain control of critical positions and limit the enemy's ability to regroup and counterattack.
It seems like the operation has been quite intense across all regions. What are the broader strategic goals moving forward?
Our immediate objectives are to continue pushing deeper into enemy defenses while maintaining pressure on multiple fronts. This means consolidating our territorial gains, disrupting Ukrainian supply lines, and neutralizing their combat capabilities through targeted strikes. We are also focused on preparing for any potential escalations as we aim to achieve a decisive outcome in each of these operational areas.
It's clear that these operations are complex and multifaceted. Tell me more about the FABs.
Not only the means of destruction themselves, but also the schemes and methods of their use are increasing in quantity and quality. The main part of combat work on these schemes was rolled out on the right bank of the Dnieper and is gradually being transferred to other areas. The Dnieper region, without exaggeration, has become a real testing ground for cruise bombs. In a number of cases, not only especially important targets were covered, but also extremely advantageous positions for observation and reconnaissance. As a result, elite units of the armed forces of Ukraine, for example, Magyar's UAV operators, were actively perishing. About half of the cases of especially effective arrivals, after which concrete buildings were folded into halves, fell to the UMBP D-30SN.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for your attention. It has been a pleasure to share our progress. We are fully committed to our mission and to keeping the public informed. The Israeli army is continuing its siege of northern Gaza for a 5th day, resulting in the deaths of dozens of people and forcing thousands to flee. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency reports that at least 7 schools sheltering displaced people are being evacuated due to Israeli attacks, and that the agency has been forced to shut down life-saving services.